have United States Senator James Inhofe with us today, and going to fill us in on a lot of great things that are going on. How are you, Mr. Senator Inhofe?
I'm good, Leroy. I'm good, and there's going to be quite a speech tonight. I want to encourage your. Are you going to carry it?
No, we don't have the case.
Oh, I see.
Well, we can't do it here right now.
Yeah, but this he's going to has a lot of surprises. Can I mention a couple of things that I think are significant about this, so your listeners can kind of think about this? You've heard me say in the past that there are three areas that we're really finally doing something after 8 years of Obama and not getting these things done. One's national security and rebuilding our military. One is infrastructure, the highways and all these things. And then the other one is, of course, the tax cuts and the effect that they had on our economy and are having right now. We're entering into a period of prosperity, and tonight will be interesting to see how he covers it, because he wants to make sure people understand. Just throw this out. In the case of our military, Obama, who is a very sincere liberal, he's one that and liberals really don't care that much about the military anyway, and consequently we really fell behind. And right now we have maintenance problems that we're trying to overcome, and we've got to really do it with this budget coming up. And he's laying tonight the predicate for that, so people will understand. The reason this is delicate is because you don't want to go so far as to anything that our people here in this country hear, our enemy hears also. And if he starts talking about how bad things are in terms of our maintenance and some of these things, for instance, the ground brigades that we use, that the United States Army uses, only about a third of them can be deployed right now because of maintenance backlogs that are there. With the Marines, they fly F-18s, and the F-18s right now only about a third of them can actually fly. So we have those problems. At the same time, he wants to make sure that he alerts America so they can lean on those of us in Congress, in the House, in the Senate, to give the proper priority to military, because we lost that during the last 8 years. Now, I think he's going to do that very well tonight, but that's something to look for. Then I just found out he's going to do something I didn't know he was going to do. Do you remember the big issue on Guantanamo Bay, the fact that we've been using that to incarcerate terrorists, and there's no place else in the world we can put them? Liberals have been trying to shut that down, and he announced that it was open for business, as is America. Then he talked about the infrastructure. This is something that, if you remember, 9 years ago when President Obama came in to the presidency, he said, I need to have $800 billion so I can do an infrastructure package. I can stimulate the economy. And then he got his money, actually $836 billion. And you know how much he spent on highways and roads and bridges? 3%. That's all, 3%. And that left all the rest of that for his environmental agenda and other things that he was doing without proper authority to do them. Well, anyway, now we're going to be going out there and really doing some rebuilding. And so every time someone criticizes this president because he hasn't started that yet, I have to remind him of just what Obama didn't do. And then, of course, the last thing is that the tax cuts. The tax cuts, people still right now, a lot more of them realize how it personally benefits each individual than did before. But by the 15th of April, they're going to know. And virtually everyone is already seen an increase in their own take-home pay. And we have a website that I'd like to have you be aware of, Leroy. It's inhofe.senate.gov. And if people will access that, I have a list of all the companies in Oklahoma. There are 134 of them that are currently giving bonuses and all that to Oklahomans. And the other thing that they can access is all the regulations that this president has done away with that came from the Obama administration. So between the two of them, that's why our economy is doing so well. That's why our jobs are just skyrocketing right now. So good things are happening. I think he's going to do a good job of expressing that in the State of the Union tonight.
The deregulations, of course, have been a tremendous effect on us. You still there?
Yes.
Okay. I was talking about the deregulation that he started when he first got into office. That kind of turned the reins loose on the horse.
Yeah, he really did. You know what? I wouldn't expect many people to know this, but the first one that he did, the first regulation he did, there's two different ways of getting rid of a regulation, Leroy. One is through executive orders, and some of those he was able to do. But then we have to pass legislation for a CRA, that's Congressional Review Act. That says that in the event that the unelected bureaucrats pass a regulation, or a president does, and it's one that is damaging to the economy and is not good and nobody wants it, you can introduce a Congressional Review Act with only 30 co-sponsors in the Senate. So I did that the week that President Trump got into office. And that regulation was that Obama had put in a regulation that if you are an independent oil or gas company, you can't compete with China unless you tell them exactly how you built your playbook, what went into your offer, and putting us at a decided disadvantage. And so I introduced an amendment or a bill, a CRA, to do away with that, and that's the first one that passed. And so I had the first signing ceremony with President Trump that he had, and that was over a year ago. So some good things are happening out there right now, Leroy, and I'm very excited. I'm excited about what we're going to be expressing tonight, how he's going to address the problems that he has inherited, that he is facing, primarily national security and infrastructure, and I'm looking forward to a good speech.
Well, I am too, and it seems to me that it's amazing at the speed with which we've come back.
Oh, it is. It is. It's happened. All these numbers that we could enumerate in terms of the jobs that are out there, in terms of just look at the economy. For each 1% increase in economic activity, that translates into about $3 trillion of new revenue coming in. And all during the 8 years of Obama, the average EGDP was in the economy growth was only 1.5%. It's already, with this president, at 3%, and a lot of people are guessing with what he's already done so far, it'll go to 4%. What we're talking about, and that's the interesting thing about this is all the Democrats complained about the tax cuts, saying, "Oh, we can't afford to do that. That's going to increase the deficit," and they know better than that. Because it was Kennedy back in 1962, and he was a Democrat, and he said we've got to have more money for our Great Society programs. The best way to increase revenue is to decrease marginal tax rates. And so he took the top rate from 90% down to 70%, and all others comparably lower. And as a result of this, 4 years later, the revenue increased by 30%. The same thing happened when Reagan came in 1981. So anyway, that's the same thing. We're in the process of that happening right now.
Well, I'm really looking forward to his State of the Union address tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I am too, and I think he'll articulate these things well. And, right now the big dilemma the Democrats have is a lot of the things he's doing are popular, and yet they don't want to stand up and applaud. So they're trying to decide how they can avoid their silence when their people at home are wanting them to do it. That's their big effort. I've never seen so much hatred of a person than I've seen that the Democrats here in the United States Senate feel about our president.
I haven't either, and I can barely remember Franklin Roosevelt, but I was so young then. But I do remember Harry Truman from then on up.
Yep.
And I've never heard anything quite like this.
No. I look back now and I see the things that Kennedy did, and then I saw the deterioration start with the Carter administration. Remember, we had a hollow force. He was just did a lot of damage to the military, and that's exactly. In fact, I chair a committee called the Readiness Committee, and we had the vice chiefs of all the services in, and they said what we're experiencing now is the same hollow force that we experienced under Carter, under their administration. So, this happened just in time.
Yes, it did. I think, well, anyway, I don't get in too far in the religious part, but I think the Lord had a hand in this. Really do. Honestly.
Oh, I do. No, I do, because, I mean, look at some of these things that we, what's the name of that company that makes all the Hobby Lobby. There we go. Hobby Lobby, they actually, they put up millions of dollars challenging the fact that they just don't believe in abortion. And so why should they have to to give the same information out on how to have an abortion and all of that? And so they fought it. They fought it all the way to the United States Supreme Court, and they won on a 5-4 decision. Now, what does that tell you, Leroy? It tells you, yeah, God does have a hand in these things.
Absolutely.
And good things are happening right now.
Yep, absolutely.
And by the way, I often think about if Hillary had won, the other 5, there are a lot of 5-4 decisions that we barely escaped on. One was on the Second Amendment rights, or the right to keep and bear arms. That would have been going down the toilet. So I think about 20 kids and grandkids and how thankful I am that we won this election. Let's give this guy a chance to save America.
And religious liberty would have been in trouble.
Yeah, you got it. Well, that's good. So enjoy it tonight, and I will too. All right?
All right. We'll look forward to hearing from you again.
Be great, Leroy. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you, Senator.
Bye.
Bye.